Special delivery.
And away we go. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, the big show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. How do you do? South Carolina, great to be back on the radio with you. For those of you here in the upstate listening to 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, or anywhere around the world on the radio.com app. Put it on all your digital devices and don't miss a moment of our live local programming. To those of you that are joining us over on the stream, which you can find at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or youtube.com/The Rob Brown Show. It does not matter where. Join us on the stream. Hang out. Have a little fun. We got preempted yesterday. Obviously, we want to keep you completely up to date, entirely up to date on what's going on in the world of NCAA basketball. So we had that up for you. But back to our regularly scheduled broadcast today from noon to 3. I am Rob Brown, obviously back in the network studio. He is Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate. He is hashtag Dad Kicks himself, the great one, Lonzo at the helm. How we doing, Zoe?
You know, that's almost inside for people who didn't watch. Who didn't watch yesterday. So I suggest you go back and watch the Facebook video of yesterday to see what that's all about. Although I'm sure it will be brought up multiple times from now till the end of time.
I may or may not have put up in 13-point font in very bold letters at the top of the show rundown, hashtag Dad Kicks, to remind me to repeatedly reference the hashtag Dad Kicks that Lonzo was so clearly and evidently wearing yesterday on the live stream. If you missed it, go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Scroll back to yesterday. What this new streaming service allows us to do that I am so in love with is if we are not on the air for whatever reason, we're preempted for sports or if something comes up, Zoe and I can actually still do a show. We did that yesterday, did about an hour. Well, it was supposed to be an hour. It turned into like an hour and a half almost. Of a stream where we went through the first and second round of the tournament. We talked about Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League movie and oh so much more. So if you missed it, you're going to want to go back to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You can watch through that stream, find out what you missed, including Lonzo showing off his hashtag Dad Kicks, which were definitely hashtag Dad Kicks. Busy day on the radio broadcast today, and very much looking forward to chatting about a ton of stuff for y'all. Obviously, we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about the tournament, the second round concluding yesterday evening. Our Sweet 16 regional semifinals are officially set. We're going to walk through the bracket. I'll tell you what I hit and missed on throughout the duration of the first and second round. So make sure you stick around for that. Zoe, so far, any big outside of your Ohio State Buckeyes getting bounced in the first round, outside of Illinois getting bounced in the second round, we've obviously had a handful of upsets. Those two might be the biggest shocker so far. Anything else that has stood out to you about this tournament, whether it's teams that are in or out, whether it's anything specific you've seen off or on a court, which jumped out to you about this tournament so far?
Well, it was a shame to see some of those Cinderella teams go down yesterday and see the run in, but at least they got to knock some people off that you didn't think they were going to be able to, like Oral Roberts knocking off Ohio State and Florida, which is a big deal for them. And, you know, hopefully that's not the last we see of them because they look really good. Also, the fact that Michigan was able to come from being down to LSU several times and win that game yesterday. As I predicted, they're going to win the whole thing. And by the way, you know, that's not just to contradict Rob because, you know, they were playing his team. It pains me to say that I believe Michigan's going to win the whole thing. I don't want that to happen. That's just what I believe. But unlike some people, not talking about Rob, there are some people who can't set aside their biases and look at the reality of the situation and go, yeah, that team's going to win. This comes from a guy who can't stand Clemson, but picked Clemson to win almost the entire season, as I do every year. You got to be able to put that aside and go, yeah, I hate those guys. I don't want to see them win. That's a pretty good team led by a pretty good coach. And it's a good story too, if they were to win the whole thing. So I'm still in it as far as my prediction yesterday.
Sure. My national champion is still dancing. I think I've got 7 of the Sweet 16 correct. Of the ones that I missed, Ohio State, Illinois were ones that almost everybody had picked in that same spot as well. So I was not the only one who is missing quite a bit of the Sweet 16, but the national champion still dancing. I had LSU to knock off Michigan last night, and honestly, I thought they were going to. They were up at one point, up 9 in the second half. And then the shooting leveled out just a little bit. LSU, who was hot in the first half, the shooting went away. And I told you in the stream yesterday and on the radio on Friday that I thought LSU was had an opportunity to be a sneaky ticket into the Sweet 16 based on the fact that they had arguably the best starting 5. Problem was Michigan was just able to weather the early storm against LSU and get into the bench. Once LSU goes to the bench, they have a high school team off the bench, and Michigan just outlasted them late last night. I mean, it looked with about 14 minutes left to go like LSU was going to be able to run that thing. And then, like I said, it just got to the point where Michigan was able to weather the storm, and LSU, despite the fact that the lead was that big, they just started missing shots. I mean, that's all it came down to, was they just started missing shots, whereas in the first half, they did not. So we're going to break down the bracket, our Sweet 16, and a whole lot more later on in the show. But before we do, it is the opening segment, and we are back to our regularly scheduled format of broadcasting, which means it's time to open the show with this.
Nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here. It's the scuttlebutt.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch! Lunch!
It is the lunch break down, the 3 things you have to know before we go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers of the wall, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table today. We start with item number 1. We have touched on this story, but touched is the closest we've gotten to full coverage, predominantly because I'm going to continue to wait until Deshaun Watson gets his day in court before we make any prognostications about what the future might hold. But on Monday, Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney commented on the multiple lawsuits alleging sexual assault against former Tigers quarterback turned Houston Texan Deshaun Watson. Dabo said, and I quote, "Certainly we were disappointed to see his name in the news and all that's going on. But look, hey, I love Deshaun Watson. He's like a son to me, and that's how I love him. As far as all the legal stuff and all that, that will all take its course and all that stuff. Certainly can't speculate or comment on any of that stuff. But what I will tell you is I've known Deshaun since the 9th grade, and he's been nothing but exemplary in every area that I've ever known him in. 3 years here as a player. I think I had the chance to yell at him one time. He was 5 minutes late to a team meeting that he overslept for, and that's it. That's the Deshaun I know and can base my thoughts on my experiences with him, which have been just wonderful. Again, I love him like a son, and we'll just have to see where everything else goes from there." The total number of sexual assault lawsuits filed against former Clemson football star and Houston Texan quarterback Deshaun Watson increased on Monday. The new lawsuits were filed by Tony Busby, who represents 9 women in a total of 12 lawsuits he has filed since last week. These latest lawsuits include the most recent allegation of sexual assault of a massage therapist this month. Another lawsuit alleges a similar incident in January 2021. A third alleges Watson sexually assaulted a masseuse therapist in 2 sessions, one in June of 2020, one in August of that same year. A fourth alleges an incident in August of 2020, and a fifth lawsuit claims an incident happened in July of 2020. Busby posted again on Instagram on Saturday that he will present evidence and affidavits to the Houston Police Department and the Houston District Attorney Monday morning. I have not gotten any updates in that direction yet, though obviously we will be keeping an eye on that, as it is an enormous story that has the possibility of changing the direction, not just of Deshaun Watson's career, but of the NFL as a whole, as Deshaun obviously still wants out. There are multiple conspiracy theories that have popped up about whether this is something the Texans have organized to try to lessen the amount of credibility Deshaun Watson has to other teams, or whether these are women simply looking to get some money off of Deshaun. Now, I want you to know, as I have done a little bit of research into this, I spoke earlier this morning to an actual attorney about how this process would work, as I've gotten a lot of kickback from people who have been saying, well, it doesn't make sense that these lawsuits would be coming out if there were no criminal charges filed against Deshaun Watson yet. And we'll go into deeper detail about this later on, but suffice to say, here's what you need to know right now. The way that this works, and again, I spent a number of minutes on a phone this morning with an attorney trying to figure this whole thing out. The way this works is this: Deshaun Watson would not need to have any criminal charges pressed against him before a civil suit can be filed. In fact, Deshaun Watson could have charges filed against him and have those charges dismissed, or have or be found not guilty of those charges, and still have to face civil lawsuits. That is what happened to, for instance, O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty, not innocent. Those are two different terms, remember. Not guilty and innocent are two different definitions, two different terms. Innocent means the guy definitely didn't do it. Not guilty means might have done it, but there's not enough evidence there to say for certain. So basically what it comes down to is there is no need for charges to be filed or Deshaun to be convicted of charges for civil suits to come forward. Now, with that being said, when Tony Busby, the lawyer who is bringing these suits against Deshaun, if he does follow through with what he said on the Instagram and does indeed bring the evidence and affidavits forward to the Houston Police Department, then Houston's police department will have the option as to whether or not they wish to pursue charges against Deshaun Watson. If they do, then Deshaun will face an investigation through the HPD and will have an entirely different set of issues that he will have to face. If he does not, if the HPD does not decide that there is enough evidence to conduct a full investigation, Deshaun Watson could still at that point face civil lawsuits where he would go in front of a judge and would have to answer for the allegations in that direction. This show, and I believe I can speak for Lonzo on this, though I certainly will offer him the mic to respond as he wishes. I'm gonna say this: I am not going to cast any type of conviction on Deshaun Watson because, frankly, I have no idea what's going on. I am going to say that if evidence is brought to the Houston Police Department that they find compelling enough to conduct an investigation, then we ought let the investigation go forward. If there is not enough evidence that Deshaun Watson has committed the act he is alleged to have committed by these women in these lawsuits, then I will see what happens in the civil court. If the civil cases are dismissed for lack of evidence, then Deshaun Watson ought be treated as if he was any other quarterback in the National Football League. If there is enough evidence to go ahead and go with this, then I will say about Deshaun Watson what I have said about every other athlete. It is increasingly difficult to treat athletes as role models because you don't know what's going on behind the surface. That is not to say I believe Deshaun is guilty. Here's what I'm going to say. I don't believe that Deshaun is guilty or innocent of the allegations against him. I don't have a belief right now. There is not enough information for me to have a belief. So I am going to withhold judgment, as I think all of us should. I think Deshaun Watson ought get his day in court, whether it is facing down an investigation presented by the Houston Police Department, whether it is in a civil court directly facing these women, accusing him of these issues. And then I will let Deshaun Watson have his day in court and we'll make our decision. What I am going to say, though, is to the people that are supporting Deshaun Watson, which I understand because he was such a great guy at Clemson, which appears to be the case. There is a lot of accusations. There appear to be at least some, as the kids say, receipts regarding this case. I am going to let it play out. Don't call into my show asking me, why aren't you defending Deshaun? It is because I don't have a belief that Deshaun is guilty or innocent. I have a belief that Deshaun Watson ought get a day to address this in a court, whether it is through a criminal investigation or a civil investigation, before I make a decision as to my belief on all of this, Lonzo.
I completely agree with you. I don't think he should be on here passing judgment about something that we don't know about until it's decided legally. I will say two things stood out in what you said. One is you mentioned rumors or people saying that maybe the Houston Texans did this to lessen his value. People actually think that. I mean, if that were true, and I don't doubt that people think that, but if that were true, man, that would be really
in that organization, right?
Yes, it would. It absolutely would. That would be so bad.
Here's the thought on that, and I don't mean to interrupt, but let me give you the thought, and then I want to get your response to it. The belief is that so Jack Easterby, who is acting GM for the Texans, and I'm just stating this as a fact, not casting a judgment. Jack Easterby is a very outwardly spoken religious guy, and when he got to Houston, mentioned multiple times that he has a desire to bring a culture change to the Texans that reflect the values that he holds as a practicing pastor. The belief is that some of the folks that have been let go by the Texans are folks who do not share the same, and I'm going to use the word values, take that as you will, as Jack Easterby. That's why they were released. Deshaun obviously has spoken out in support of some of these people, including, for instance, the head equipment manager who was released about a month ago. And the belief is that Jack Easterby, I'm not saying this is correct. In fact, I'll tell you the truth, I don't believe it. But the belief is that Jack Easterby has encouraged an attorney to bring all of this forward in order to kind of throw Deshaun under the bus as a, let's say, repercussion for not buying into the Jack Easterby way. It's a little convoluted. It's a little conspiracy theory-ish for me to go down that path, though.
Well, I'm not buying that, but as far as if he comes in and he decides to that these are his values and he expects the team to be that way, it's a business. And so if that's the way he expects it and he lets people go because they don't conform to what they consider to be how they want their business to be, it's their business. As long as there's no discrimination going on, then they legally can do that. But I find it hard to believe that someone would do that. It's just, and the other thing I wanted to mention was, if he is found not guilty, and it is definitely a possibility, people pass judgment as soon as they hear, well, of course he did it. he will never get his name back. And that's the bad part about these things when there are false accusations. These people never get their character back and never get what they were before back. Now, if he did it, he needs to be prosecuted and he needs to be punished for it. But if he didn't do it, he will still be punished for it for the rest of his playing career.
I would bet you right now there are no less than a handful of NFL GMs that are sitting in locked rooms going, under wraps, we can't let this conversation get out, but I bet we can get Deshaun Watson for a lesser value now. I promise you there are some NFL teams having that conversation right now today, and it's going to be interesting.
But you need to keep in mind that if he is found not guilty, but he still ends up going to civil, ends up having to pay. If he ends up having to pay, then the NFL will have to look into it, and
sure,
that would be against the code of conduct, and he will be suspended or something like that because of it. So if you're a GM, you got to take that into account, that the fact is if you can get him cheaper, but you're not going to get him right away more than likely.
That is correct. The interesting angle that has to be discussed about this is if there is no criminal investigation brought and he is never convicted, tried for criminal charges, but it still goes to a civil court. Now, Deshaun's already said that he is not going to let this go with just a settlement. He will fight it because keep in mind, offering a settlement and the acceptance of a settlement does not mean that Deshaun did it or that Deshaun is guilty. It simply means that there was enough value for Deshaun to not even have to go through the process that he was willing to pay. If somebody came to him and said, Deshaun, an accuser says, I'll take $25,000 and I'll drop my suit. Deshaun Watson might decide that with attorney cost and lost opportunities and all that it's easier to pay $25,000 than to fight the whole thing. Then again, the NFL will still have a decision made. We're going to talk more about this later on in the show because we're way off the clock already. Let's do this. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I'll run you through items number 2 and 3 on the lunch breakdown. We'll get into the regular show. 844-GSP ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN at 71307. I want your thoughts on this Deshaun Watson story. And more importantly, your thoughts on the Deshaun story. Less importantly, if we're being honest, at least in my opinion, if you're the Carolina Panthers right now, are you still interested in Deshaun Watson? Are you still making calls to the Texans saying we'll take all of this off your hands, or do you have to let it play out first? I want your thoughts. You're the GM of the Panthers today. We'll talk more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Oh, I hate that story, man. I hate that story. Hate it. Those of y'all on the stream, as always, our comment section is up. You can comment on any of the platforms you're watching on, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, and they will populate on our screen here, so I will be able to read and interact with you. Like always during the breaks, I guess I need to go ahead and get our stream or our text banner up. We can get our on break banner. Look at that. Man, was off the show for 3 days, and I forgot how to produce the stream. That's all right. We're gonna get through it like always. But yeah, leave your comments. Leave your comments, and we'll address them during the breaks. Got my man Zoe over here doing his live reads because he's an all-star. How much hair did you take off, Lonzo? Can't hear you if you're talking, by the way.
I took off 6 inches, and my hair is naturally wavy and curly. So usually I wear a hat to flatten it out because when it's not as heavy, it just goes up. So it's still down past my shoulders. And I'll get a cut again probably in November. I usually get a cut in either around Thanksgiving or Christmas and then right before spring. Whereas other people are going to the barber, once a month or 2 months. I'm saving that money for video games. So,
Brian says, go Noles. The Noles looked really good in the back 16 minutes of the second half, but they looked atrocious in the first half of that game yesterday, man. Absolutely atrocious. If they played the game that they played in the round of 32 at any point moving forward, they will be gone. But if they bring that back half game that they brought against Colorado last night, Brian, they'll be able to compete with anybody. I still don't know that they have the talent. I think if you watched Alabama oh my God, I don't know if you saw that Alabama game, Lonzo, but that Alabama team is no joke right now, man. Everything they threw at the basket went in.
See, I know it's college basketball season, but I always struggle because the NBA is such a better product. So there are a couple games that were putting me to sleep yesterday. The only game to me that I saw, and I didn't see the later ones, was Michigan LSU. That was a good game. That was a good game. There was scoring. There was no halftime score of 21. That just bothers me. When you're a fan of the NBA and they're scoring 100 points or more, and then you watch the college game and the announcers dress it up as defense when it's just poor shot selection and just bad shooting.
I don't know. FSU's defense was phenomenal last night, but they were also having a problem. That halftime score for FSU probably should have been closer to like 45-21. They just couldn't get the Brown thing and the round thing, but if they can get their shots to start falling like they were midway through the ACC season, and they bring that level of defense, FSU might be a surprise Final Four team. I don't think so, but
I get it. It's almost like sacrilegious for me to talk about poor shooting. My wife, who's a sports fan, she tried to watch. She's like, I can't watch this. They can't make a shot.
Yeah,
and when you can go down to the local playground when people were actually on it, they might actually be there now. I don't know. When you see better shooting there, and there's a problem because, these kids are out there, they're training, they're learning plays, they're learning all that kind of stuff. But it's, in the end, it comes down to, if you are out of college and you're not a freshman, then you're probably not that good. And I hate that I have that attitude, but one and done for a reason. If you're really good, you're going to the NBA. If you're sticking around for 5 years, you're probably not playing basketball after that.
I disagree a little in that,
Sports junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Oh, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show, back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the radio.com app. All right, let's go to this one. A sad day yesterday for NBA fans, especially those of you who were watching the NBA back in the day, with the loss of one of the original, one of the old school, one of the first true superstars in the National Basketball Association in Elgin Baylor. Oh, I have to, well, dadgummit. I had this really Nice little setup there, but I forgot to change my speaker settings. Hang on just a second for me. There we go. So here's a couple of highlights from back in the day from one of the greats.
Back to Wilt. Baylor. Well, what a play. Elgin Baylor.
Elgin Baylor passing away. That was a layup from the 1970 finals against the Knicks. Here is a clip from the 63 finals, game 6 against the Celtics.
Baylor has it. Lakers break fast. Ellis is the trailer. Now he cuts to the other side. Russell guarding Baylor, but Baylor made it. Russell was guarding Baylor, but Baylor made it. And the score, the Celtics 96, Lakers 93.
Elgin Baylor. He told a couple of stories not too long ago on ESPN from back in the day. Here's one of them from back in 2018 when he was talking with ESPN about how he developed and worked on those famous hang time moves. Elgin Baylor, known for being one of the earliest guys to play above the rim. Here's Elgin Baylor back in 2018 talking about it.
I never was conscious of it or even really, I'm not downgrading the players, but I never even thought about it, what I was doing. Because when you play, and I'm sure he feels the same way, the defense is going to dictate to what you're doing, how he's guarding you. Sometimes you do something that you've never done before, so you really don't know. And I don't know. It's nothing I practice on. I never go out there and try to practice different shots, maybe shoot free throws. But when I play, whatever way the guys guard me, he determined really the defense. If he's playing good defense, determine what you're going to do, what kind of shot you're going to take. You don't go out there with this in mind that you're going to do certain things because it doesn't really work. And you can't play that way. You shouldn't be playing that way. You should let the game, come to you.
Gotta love it. Gotta love Elgin Baylor. Here he is talking about learning how to play the game as a kid when he came from a less fortunate background. Just a phenomenal story here as well.
The first time I ever played basketball was with a tennis ball. We couldn't afford a basketball. I dribbled that tennis ball in my hand, jump shot, and went through the hoop. It was the beginning of love and appreciation of the game that's still with me today. And I certainly would like to thank all of my ex-teammates and coaches because without him, whatever I achieved would not have been possible.
So there you go. There's Elgin Baylor talking about his growth setting. The first time he played basketball, he had to play with a tennis ball. He had to learn how to play with the tennis ball because they couldn't afford a basketball, and it was the coaches and everyone that brought him up. Here's Bob Ryan, legendary sports writer. He says that modern basketball, the way we know basketball today with the athletic moves, guys playing above the rim, etc., he says that credit belongs to Elgin Baylor, the great NBA and Lakers superstar.
Modern basketball began with Elgin Baylor. When I say modern basketball, every single reverse layup, every single between the legs dribble, every single spinning move that you see in a routine manner in every single NBA game owes its existence to the mind of one man, Elgin Baylor.
High praise from Bob Ryan. Here's Magic Johnson. He's had a couple of clips again, back from 2018, talking about Elgin Baylor and just how great the man was on the basketball floor.
What I'm going to really remember about Elgin Baylor is the fact that he still holds the NBA Finals record, scoring 61 points in the Boston Garden. Come on now. Come on. Do I have to go down the list of people who didn't do that, including myself? Man, 61 points in the NBA Finals on the road?
That's magic. He went on to say, talking about the fact that he tried to emulate Elgin Baylor's moves and just couldn't do it.
Brother, you did some things that Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Kobe, myself, we couldn't do. And I tried to do it. I just couldn't hang that long in the air.
Magic Johnson paying homage to Elgin Baylor, and again, Zoe, one of those guys that I've only unfortunately ever gotten the opportunity to watch on YouTube. I mean, he was done with his career before I was nay but a glimmer in my father's eye and never got to watch Elgin Baylor play, obviously, in person. But I've watched the old YouTube clips. And, we talk about how guys from previous generations, back when The Last Dance was on at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were all, The Last Dance was taking over hours of sports talk radio because of how good it was. And we started talking, all right, could Michael play in today's game? Could LeBron have played back then? Could Kobe, could Jerry West have been a successful point guard in today's league, etc.? The reality is we wouldn't have any of those generations if it wasn't for Elgin Baylor, a guy that taught everyone who plays the modern game just how to do it. He showed how to play above the rim. He showed how to utilize the ability to get up in the air as not just an asset, but a weapon. The dude was a dominant player. He was one of the first NBA superstars of all time. He certainly was the first of the long line of Lakers superstars that, culminate today in LeBron James and went through Kobe and all these other players that are on that list. If you are a young man or a young woman who loves the game of basketball, go to YouTube and watch some old Elgin Baylor clips, because Lonzo, the man was a natural, and he was a great.
Yeah, he was even before my time. But when you hear about the NBA greats of old, he's one of the first names that is thrown out there. And it wouldn't hurt if you were learning to play the game, if you're a younger kid, to go back and learn the history of the game and see someone like Elgin Baylor play, because it's only going to help your game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There's old players that laid down the fundamentals of basketball that still must be incorporated into the game if you want to be successful. Bob Cousy with the definition of how to box out and grab rebounds. Pistol Pete Maravich, the definition of ball handling, the greatest ball handler of all time. Jerry West, Mr. Clutch, the guy that showed how to play late in the game. Michael Jordan, the epitome of intensity on a basketball floor. Elgin Baylor built the platform that all of those guys learned to play on, whether, again, like you heard Bob Ryan say, the behind the back dribble, the crossover, the reverse layup, the slam dunk to some degree, all find their roots in the game of Elgin Baylor. The NBA losing one of its greats this weekend with the passing of Elgin Baylor. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Plenty more to talk about right here on the Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and you. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're just minutes away from a shot at $1,000. Another keyword is coming up at the top of the hour, and your chance to win in the $1,000 cash stash on ESPN Upstate.
Elgin Baylor, man, one of the greats. Quite the loss. See, Steven says, tuned into your interview yesterday. Good choice on changing into the tramp gear, the whole angry bar. Steven, my man, you enjoy tormenting me, don't you? Come on, man. First off, I look good in purple. Can we be honest? I look damn good in purple, Steven, and you know it. Here, I'll even let Zoe read this comment since he walked away when I popped it up.
Yeah, I already saw it. I saw it a little bit earlier. I enjoyed it. It was a really good comment. And it's also just shows how observant our listeners are. And we appreciate, Stephen, you coming back and watching Rob and seeing that he changed his shirt. But the fact that he changed his shirt means that he was conscious of what the purple makes him look like.
Or Maybe it was just because I had on the Greenville Triumph head coach and wanted to show my support. Maybe that was it. Lonzo.
That's probably more it, because I'm sure you went right back to the purple afterwards. Hey, don't let anyone stop you from wearing purple. I mean, because again, no one's going to stop me from wearing dad kicks.
And
So
again, I look damn good in purple. So
there you go.
Oh man. Always with the jokes from the listeners. Always with the jokes. I'm watching the Alexa Bliss Randy Orton match right now. Steven, is that true? Seriously? Did that really happen? Did you really stub your toe? There's no way. There's no way. Come on, man. There's no way. If it did, I'm so sorry. I don't actually have a witch doctor of any type available at my beck and call.
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you. 844-GSP-ESPN, Texas 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at ESPN Upstate. Join our live stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You can join the live stream there or on my Twitter account, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show or youtube.com/The Rob Brown Show. Either way, make sure you check out that live stream and be a part of the show. Text that's just come in a moment ago at ESPN Rob. Of course, the big money slime ball, good old boys dug up this dirt on Watson, and Carolina should still be all in. Now he was going to have something to prove. That is from P1 Lego Batman, he calls himself on the text stream. Look, here's the thing. I want to think through the belief that this is and I'm going to read directly from the text, quote, big money slime ball, good old boys digging up something on Deshaun.
Wait, they don't have those in Texas, do they?
Yeah, right. I don't see, and please feel free to elaborate on your thoughts. All right, I please feel free to elaborate on your thoughts. I don't see that as a possibility. And I don't see that as a possibility because what's the end game there, if that's true? What's the end game? You destroy Deshaun Watson's ability to play quarterback in the NFL. Is it simply to remove him from the league? I can't have my toy so nobody else can either? And to break that toy so that nobody in the class can play with it? That's the only, to me, and again, I am not a smart man, but that's the only logical possibility to me, right? Is that I can't have my toy, therefore nobody else can either. So I'm going to break it. I'm going to prevent Deshaun Watson from playing anywhere in the league. Look, to me, there are a number of possibilities of what happened here. There are two that are most likely. Number one, and not that either one of these is more likely than the other. I just have to put them in order. Number one, there are a group of women and an attorney in Houston that are trying to get some money out of Deshaun Watson. Or number two, these allegations against Deshaun Watson have legs. Those are the options that are the most likely. Now, I can't sit here and say with any form of definition that it definitely is it is not a Houston Texans conspiracy to wreck the career of Deshaun. Is that a possibility? Sure. But I don't find any logical basis to believe that's accurate. Now, this is not a condemnation of Deshaun Watson. This is not me saying that I believe that Deshaun Watson is guilty or innocent. The only folks I was responding to at the beginning of this show, Lonzo, were the folks I've seen on Twitter that are going, it is unfathomable that the Texans have not defended Deshaun. It is unfathomable that the NFL has not defended Deshaun. He's such a good guy, he would not do this. Yeah, well, and I'm not saying that Deshaun did it. I feel like I have to say that every time I'm about to set something up. But Lonzo, for about 50 years, Bill Cosby was definitely not a guy who would do the things that he did. Till the light got shined on him, and he did. I'm not saying Deshaun did, but I'm saying both parties deserve their day in court. There's enough on the table here out of these women. There's enough on the table to justify an investigation to hear it out, whether it's a criminal investigation or an investigation in front of a judge in a civil court. I'm not in a rush to defend nor condemn Deshaun, the Texans, the NFL, or anybody else until the story plays out. And that, Zoe, is the end of this conversation as far as I am concerned on this show.
Well, the one thing that bothers me is people condemning the team in the NFL for not coming out and defending him. That would be bad business for them to do that, because if they come out and defend him and then he ends up being guilty, it makes them look bad. And I don't think most businesses would come out and say, oh, he's a good guy, he's all this stuff. And, it's just, you don't do that. You don't. You wait and see, and which is usually the case. They wait and see what happens in court, what is found out, and then usually they do their own investigation. And if it's found out that he's innocent of all charges, then they will support him then. But I don't see a need for them to jump out in front of this, and because it looks bad on them if they do.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's a hedge bet situation. You may not like it because you love Deshaun, but there is enough smoke. I'm not saying it's a fire. It might be a smoke bomb set off by the attorney, but there's enough smoke that the NFL is not going to weigh in and the Texans aren't going to weigh in. Because if there's enough evidence to show Deshaun Watson is guilty of what he's alleged to have done, then they will go down with him. And if there's not, then Deshaun's ransom will be a new contract and the ability to keep playing NFL football. It's that simple. So for the message I got, because I got this message on Sunday, either Sunday afternoon or maybe Saturday afternoon, Zoe, but over the weekend, got an email from a listener who said, Rob, the fact that you are not standing up to defend Deshaun Watson when so many of us here in the upstate have told you how great of a person he is the reason I will never listen to you or your station again. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know Deshaun. Never met Deshaun. And even if I did, knowing or having met Deshaun is not a defense for the allegations. However, I'm also not condemning Deshaun. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon and say he obviously did all this. I'm saying let's let it play out. All right, we're going to put that subject to bed for the rest of the day. When we come back here in just a minute, we'll wrap up our number one. I've got so much more that I want to get into. What is the worst price you've ever had to pay for losing a bet in sports? One sports blogger has a permanent price that he will carry with him for the rest of his life for an incorrect prediction in the March Madness bracket. I'll tell you what that is next. We'll see if you've got any stories on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you, no matter where you go. And
how do we feel about 80s slasher movie The Fiend now?
So just a reminder to anybody who is watching the stream that coming up in about 6 minutes, Rob is going to give you the keyword for next hour, and then you have a chance to win $1,000. So you should already have that number, put it in your phone, ready to go, and be ready to listen to the word when he gives it to you. So you got a shot at winning $1,000. We've had some winners already. It is a national contest, so the fact that we've had several winners here on this station means you got a shot at doing it. So $1,000, man. Who couldn't use $1,000? So be ready to hear the word when Rob reads the word in 5 minutes.
3 winners so far on ESPN Upstate. 3. Trace. Uno, dos, tres. 3 folks that have been listening to our station have won $1,000. Can you hear me right now, by the way, Zoe?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. How do we feel about 80s slasher movie Fiend?
The movies themselves? Or what do you mean themed?
No, the Fiend. Just pop back.
The Fiend. Oh, Fiend. You said Fiend. I thought you said theme.
No, Fiend.
Yeah. I like it. I loved the entrance at the pay-per-view. I thought it was a little premature because I thought he was going to do it at WrestleMania, but I guess this allows a little more build-up.
Yep.
But with any storyline like this, what is the end game? That's always a concern. I mean, how does he go back to what he was other than it is a personality, so you just killed that personality off, I guess.
Right.
I'm just looking. I know I'm looking at it from a writing standpoint, and
the end game is he physically murders Randy Orton with a machete
within the storyline. Not really. Yeah. He was on Raw last night too. I know you haven't watched that yet, so I'm just letting you know.
Main event of Fastlane now. I'll get Raw after that, and then I got to go back to last week's NXT and AEW.
Oh, so you don't know about the arrests?
No, I've got so much to catch up on. Little brother was in town, and he'll watch it if it's on, but he's not going to sit and watch a 2-hour show. He'll go with me to wrestling. He loves going to wrestling shows just to boo the good guy.
And the atmosphere and all that. Just people watching is a lot of fun. My daughter was chastised me when I got home for reading that definition on the air yesterday. I told you I shouldn't have did that. So didn't make me feel comfortable, Dad. It's like, yeah,
I bet it didn't. I was, I'll be honest with you. I was a little shocked you went into it. You didn't get into the gratuitous aspects of it, but I was a little shocked you read it.
I saw an opportunity to
make a child uncomfortable.
Well, that's part of it, but not really. I saw an opportunity to quote a Zombies lyric. Okay. So, I mean, and as one of my favorite old bands, anytime I can drop some lyrics, got to do it. 1 minute.
I'm just happy I knew the song you were talking about. The Rob Brown Credibility Index continues to grow.
Well, that just shows that you have an eclectic taste in music, and it's broad, and it spans generations, and I think that looks good on you. As I have all these conversations. Hey, have you heard the song? I was like, yeah, I heard it the other 2 times it was made. That's when you sound like an old guy.
We're going to have about 30 seconds before the money sounder hits?
Yes.
Dry rub to perfection, slow smoked for 8 hours, and you dare to face that perfect smoky hickory wood flavor with some hardwood cooking pellets? Introducing Kingsford 100% hardwood pellets. No fillers or binders. Just 100% hardwood for 100% flavor. Learn more at kingsford.com.
He's not messing around. Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
All right, hour number 1 is in the books. In about 30 seconds, I'm going to give you the keyword to text in to win $1,000 in the cash stash on ESPN Upstate. Coming up to begin the next hour, the reason that I believe the Panthers have removed themselves from the Deshaun Watson game. I told you I thought they already had, but now I'll give you my reasoning why. But before we get there, your keyword for the 1 o'clock hour in the ESPN Cash Stash on ESPN Upstate is happy. Happy, as in I'll be very happy if I win $1,000. Happy. Text that keyword to 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is happy. Happy. Text that keyword to 72881. 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Quick break. Why I believe the Panthers are out of the Deshaun game next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, W249TL Greenville, W246CV Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com Sports Station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. A NASCAR weekend coming up that kind of looks normal, but really is anything but normal since the pandemic. For the most part, NASCAR has not had qualifying sessions or practice sessions. That's going to change this weekend at Bristol, as there'll be practice sessions coming up on Friday and then qualifying races coming up on Saturday. That's the normal part of it. The not so normal part, Bristol Motor Speedway being converted to a dirt track for this weekend. That's part of the reason that they've got the practice sessions and the qualifying sessions, so drivers can get a feeling for the track that is going to look and feel very different. The trucks will run on Saturday night, the Cup Series Sunday afternoon. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
Steven Garcia, former Gamecock. Oh, man. Finally got a new phone coming tomorrow, Alonzo, so I will hopefully, fingers crossed, go back to normal.
I thought you already got that new phone.
No, I got one last week, and then it was acting up. And so Andrew from Verizon, who we had on the show last week to talk about some of the cool products they have for March, helped me out and hooked me up and got me another one coming in. Wasn't Verizon's fault. It was just a busted phone, unfortunately. So they immediately got me another one out, which I'm excited about.
Good for you.
Yeah, man. You don't realize how much of this job / for some of us, your life is directly connected to your phone. until you don't have it.
It's all about access and having the ability, I wonder what this is, and looking it up, or I wonder what's going on here, or what is the latest going on in sports, and not being able to do that can make you jittery.
Yep. Now the frustrating part of remembering.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Let's get it. Howard Niminados of the Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you be a part of the broadcast. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Couple of texts that have come in. Kevin from Duncan text into the show. Kevin from Duncan says, that's exactly what Houston is doing. If they can't have Deshaun Watson, then no other team will. Do you not see the dysfunction in Houston? Their track record speaks for itself. Just ask former players. Oh, listen, Kevin, if there is one guy that has spent more than his fair share of time talking on the radio about just how dysfunctional the Texans organization is, it's me. Trust me. I promise you. But here's the question that I would pose back to you, Kevin, and you're welcome to text in your answer. If you're free, call into the show and talk about it at 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. The question that I would have for you would be, understanding that the Texans are a dysfunctional organization, that Houston is a dysfunctional organization, understanding and agreeing with you on that point entirely. Do you believe that the Texans are so incredibly dumb that they would ruin their franchise entirely if it comes to light that they brought this forward in any way? Because Zoe, you and I have agreed on this, and I think remain in agreement on this. If it comes to light that the Houston Texans had any say, and number two, Lonzo, although I still think there will be ramifications, if this came to light and it was false, then I think at that point, the NFL, if the NFL has any credibility, which to me they really don't anymore, but if it comes to light that they brought this up and it is false, the Texans, or at least every person who owns, operates, and manages that organization, has got to be put out of the league. Has got to. I mean, it happened with Jerry Richardson of the Panthers, remember? Jerry Richardson had a track record of inappropriate behavior in the front office. And if there is one group of power players in the league that you would think the league would not cross, it would be their owners. But a track record of inappropriate behavior from Jerry Richardson came out, and the NFL basically forced him out of the league, forced him to sell it. Yeah, he got to walk with a whole heck of a lot of money, but he basically was forced out of the game. So are we in agreement? If it comes up that the Texans brought this forward and it is false, that every bit of ownership and management from the McNair family down in Houston would have to be kicked out? Because I got to tell you, if the answer to that is no, it would be very difficult for me to be a sports talk radio host who doesn't watch the NFL, but I'd have to find a way to do it.
Yeah, if you find out that they had something to do with it, yeah, everybody should be gone. I agree. Ownership should change hands. I really find it hard to believe. And maybe there's a small percentage in my head that it could be this way, but it's like 1% or less, that they would put so much on the line to do this. And I think a problem is when you're such a fan of somebody that you would believe something like this, I think you also need to reevaluate how you think, because I think there are some people who believe that everybody's out to get them or someone or something that they like, and that's not true. And that's such a big business to go out on a limb and do something like this to one individual and be willing to sacrifice everything. And whether you like the team and how it's run now, that name, the McNair name's been around for a long time in the NFL. Are you maybe willing to tarnish that to do this to Deshaun Watson? And I just don't think they would.
You said the Texans would put so much on the line. This would be putting everything on the line. This is pushing the key to the franchise onto the middle of the poker table for this. To take out one guy? That's a big bet, man. That is a big bet to risk everything. I mean, the franchise itself. At ESPN, the Texans are behind this coming to light. They know he was done in Houston, and they have dug up dirt to tarnish him as punishment for bucking management. Now, let me ask a follow-up question to that. And again, your thoughts are welcome at 844-GSP-ESPN or text us at 71307. Let me ask a follow-up question. The way that you worded that, texter, and I want to give you the opportunity to clarify in case I am missing, if I'm getting a crosswire, some miscommunication here. But you said they know he is done in Houston and they have dug up dirt to tarnish him as punishment for bucking management. And I am not saying it is. What if, Lonzo, these allegations are true and they are proven, and these multiple women, masseuses all, have evidence that prove what Deshaun is, or any part of what Deshaun Watson is accused of, is accurate, right? Because at that point, that's the Texans not tarnishing his reputation by digging up dirt. That's them reporting a crime, right? I would still have an issue with the Texans at that point, because you'd have to ask the question, since many of these allegations go back to the early part of 2020, and I think one comes from as early as 2018. That would mean that the Texans either A, came into the information after the trade demand and the if you will, insults to the Texans organization, or B, they knew about this before, but they were willing to sit on the information to keep Deshaun Watson in the fold, and would not bring this information to light previously when everything was hunky-dory between the two parties. If this information, if these allegations against Deshaun Watson end up being proven true, the only way I become mad at the Houston Texans at that point is if they sat on this information when everything was good between them and Deshaun, and then released it after the relationship soured. Either way, the only response I would have, with all due respect to the texter here, is you are working under the assumption, and it's your right to do so, that what these lawsuits are alleging are completely false. We don't know that yet. And I would say, Zoe, we have gotten enough on the table in the way of allegations and at least some evidence, at least the Instagram results, the Instagram DMs from Deshaun that prove that these women were hired from different parts of the country to fly in to give him body work, if you will, massages, etc. There's at least enough on the table to prove that Deshaun was hiring these women off of Instagram, as they claim, and was getting private massages from them, as they claim, which means that there is enough on the table to actually at least look into the matter, either hear it out in a civil court or get an investigation underway. what I'm saying, though, is you don't have to believe that Deshaun Watson is innocent of the allegations, but you don't have to believe that he's guilty of the allegations. But to me, you shouldn't believe he's innocent of them either. The default position here is we don't know yet, and we should let the evidence come to light before anybody casts a judgment as to what happened here.
I think another question for me is if he is tried and found guilty in civil court, where he has to pay out cash, but in civil court, if I understand correctly, you don't spend any jail time or anything for it. If you are the Houston Texans, do you just let him go?
I don't know is the answer. I mean, look, if Deshaun Watson is innocent of these allegations, then no. Right. No. You keep him. Even if it means him riding pine and you getting lesser trade value, no, you keep him. If Deshaun Watson's found guilty of these allegations, I don't think you have to worry about it because I think the NFL will remove him regardless. And they'll give the Texans a couple of compensatory draft picks, probably higher than we're used to.
Is a civil trial worth, will the NFL remove him for a civil trial? Now I get that they would suspend him for a while, but would they remove him indefinitely? Would he go on that list? And I forget what it's called. The commissioner's exempt list or what?
He's already going to be on that list, to tell you the truth. I think he's probably at least while if and when these things go to trial, civil or criminal, I think he'll go on the commissioner's exempt list for at least some period of time. If Jay Busby, what's his name? But if Busby, whatever his first name is, I forget. I apologize. If the attorney brings evidence or brought evidence, as he said he was going to yesterday to the Houston Police Department, and there's enough of it that they decide to begin a criminal investigation into Deshaun Watson, then at that point, I think if you're the Texans, you're really waiting with bated breath to see what happens here. Kevin from Duncan texts back in. He says, I totally agree. If this is linked to the Texans front office, that they were behind this, then the NFL should remove them from their positions and make them sell the team. However, I don't believe it will get back to the Texans. Just think about it for a minute. The Texans are done with or without Deshaun anyway, so why not do it? Why not do it? The answer here is because, again, if you are done with or without Deshaun, why wouldn't you just let him sit out the rest of his contract and take away a prime couple of years from him, right? Nope, we're not going to trade you. You're under contract. You can sit your behind on the couch and waste 2 years of your prime, or you can honor your contract. There is no benefit from this because here's the other aspect. What has this done to the one thing that the Texans stood to gain? There was only one thing they stood to gain here, though, which was the reason I've been saying for weeks now that the Houston Texans are silly if they don't trade Deshaun. There is only one value to the Texans and Deshaun Watson, and that's trade value when you ship him out of town.
Right, and that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to the green. Why would they do this to him and hurt his value for them? Because the more upstanding, the better that people think about Deshaun Watson on and off the field, the better chance they would have to trade him and get almost equal value or close to it. So why would they hurt their bottom line by going out and making this happen to hurt him as a person? It just doesn't make sense. It does not.
Bingo. Exactly right. That doesn't make from that any angle. That doesn't make any sense. ESPN, because he tarnished their organization. I'm going to say this to you, Texter. At the end of the day, the Texans aren't going to give a good gosh darn if he tarnished the organization, if they can get 4 first-round picks and a couple of seconds and thirds for him, right? Of course not. They're not going to care. There's no angle to this where it makes sense that the Texans brought this to light. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. It's a very good possibility that that's what happened. But it makes no sense to me that the Texans would be the ones that brought this to light. They can only hurt themselves here. There's no gain here. The Texans' only gain would be, we made you look bad. We cost ourselves multiple first, second, and third round picks to do it. We cost ourselves multiple first round picks and a couple of Pro Bowlers and trade value to do it. But we got you back. At the end of the day, whether it's Jack Easterby or anybody else, there is one objective for an NFL team, and I haven't gone over this with Lonzo. Lonzo, what's the only goal of an NFL franchise ultimately?
Well, to make money.
Thank you.
Even above winning. I mean, look at Dallas. I mean, you cannot win anything and still make money, and that's because it's a business and you're about making money.
Thank you. That is 100% correct. It's to make money. The Texans lose money if they're the ones that threw Deshaun under the bus. They lose it. There is no gain. And that is and always has been and always will be the number one objective of a National Football League team. It is to make money above all else. And this loses them money. Like a hell of a lot of money if they were the ones that did this. Here's what this comes down to me. And I'm going to say this with all due respect to all of you texting the show, because I'm glad you are, and I'm glad you're being a part of this conversation. It's an important one. The NFL franchise's number one objective is to make money. And I feel like, and please tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be incorrect if I am assuming your motivations here. But I get the impression that a lot of folks are making that up. That they not making it up. I'm accusing you of being dishonest, and I certainly don't want to do that. A lot of people are working under the assumption that the Texans would have created all of this drama because they wanted to take down Deshaun. And the place that comes from that makes sense to me is you believe that because you're a Deshaun fan. If you are a Deshaun Watson fan before all else, then of course any allegations against Deshaun you are going to assume are coming from a place of malicious intent. But I'm asking you, what do the Texans stand to gain when the most important thing in the game to them is to make money? What do the Texans stand to gain by, quote, digging up dirt, end quote? And again, also understanding that if that is true, it is working under the assumption that it is made up, that these allegations are not true. Not a texter texted a minute ago that said, ESPN, wrong, big wrong. You were always assumed innocent. Yes, you are. You are assumed innocent until proven guilty. But again, you'll also notice when you look at a lawsuit, again, I spent a lot of time talking to an attorney this morning because I wanted to be abundantly clear about this conversation before we had it. If you go to court, Lonzo, there are two options for a verdict if you go to court. They are guilty, and do you know what the other one is off the top of your head, Zoe? If you're not guilty in the eyes of the court of law, you are what?
Innocent.
No, you're not guilty.
Well, you said...
I set you up. I tricked you there.
You said not guilty.
Right.
You said guilty, and you said if you're not guilty.
Okay,
so I thought you were looking for a different word, but it's still the same. Yes.
You are either guilty or you are not innocent or not guilty. Guilty or not guilty. There is no verdict of innocent. You will never hear a judge or a jury say, we, the jury, find the defendant innocent of the charges. That is not how it works. You are either guilty or not guilty. Not guilty means there is not enough evidence for us to declare that he did it. We are not saying that he did not do it. We are not saying that he is definitely innocent of the crime. We are simply saying there is not enough to prove that we know he did do it or she did do it. So while the phrase is innocent until proven guilty, the actual way that in the eyes of the court of law, of which the court of a public opinion is different, in the eyes of the court of law, you are either guilty or not guilty. So working under the assumption of innocence flies in the court of public opinion but not in the legal system, which is where this is likely going to end up. Let me get Chris in here to talk a little bit about it. Chris, appreciate you taking a minute. Great to have you on the show, man. Thanks for joining us.
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you so much for having me in. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely our pleasure.
So I want to start off by talking about a philosophical theory. It is a theory known as Occam's razor.
Yep.
And what Occam's razor basically says is that if you are faced with two potential options, simply put, the most likely of the two options is likely true. Now, this does not mean that it is possible for things to be false, true, whatever the case may be. But if you're presented with two things and you don't know what the truth is, and you're having to make assumptions, assume the one that requires the least amount of mental gymnastics.
Right.
And the amount of mental gymnastics that you have to go through to think that, you know, the McNairs and Easterby and Busby are together in this plot to somehow tear down the value of Deshaun Watson. It's pretzels that you twist yourself in. It doesn't make any sense. And you're doing so from purely a place of fandom in order to do that. Now, does that mean that Deshaun Watson is guilty of what he's being accused of? Absolutely not. All I'm saying is not one of us knows what the facts are that occurred with each of those interactions between massage therapists and Deshaun Watson. If we're going to break out our Office Space reference, jump to conclusion map, then we want to use our jump to conclusion map to get to the areas that require the least amount of mental gymnastics. Second, what this also does is it really peels back the layers as if we didn't already have it in going through the Me Too movement. But the amount of, as we see the overlap in sports of fandom and the ability to be able to believe victims, there isn't a whole lot of overlap. Because we have this invested interest in these individuals because of the piece of laundry that they wear when they go out and perform on a field, court, whatever the case may be, we feel this personal attachment. We see the words, they couldn't possibly be this kind of person. You don't know these people. And here we have 13 people who have come together and said, this particular thing has occurred. Again, not saying that it has, not saying that it hasn't, but what is the message that we are sending when we immediately go to the mental gymnastics and saying, they're only doing this for money. They're just looking to be gold diggers. They're just looking to cash in on this opportunity. What you are saying to people who are victims of these crimes and why they don't come forward as often as they do. I've had the chance to do counseling with sexual assault victims.
Chris, I don't mean to interrupt. I got about 30 seconds left, so grab right to the end if you don't mind. But I agree with what you're saying, but keep going. I got about 30 seconds left.
I'll do my best. If you get an opportunity, it's okay to believe victims. It's okay to lean on the side of trying to have facts come out. It's okay to sometimes allow that person that you enjoy watching play a sport actually face consequences if they did commit these actions.
Chris, great call. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We will expound upon that call coming up in just a little while, but we're way off the clock. Got to get back on the break. We're back after this. Rob Lonzo and you, your thoughts, welcome 844-GSP ESPN. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon.
Good call from Chris, man. Appreciated that from him. Good call. Those of you watching the stream, going to grab a quick break. I'll be right back. Leave you in the capable hands of Lonzo. What's up to everybody joining us on the stream? We appreciate you guys very much. Shoot us a comment. You got anything you want to add to the conversation? I'm more than happy to hear it. And remember, your comments that you leave here on the stream, I will address them off the air if we can or should. If you got something off topic or off show you want to talk about during the breaks, that's why we're doing this. And then on top of that, if they are related to the conversation, I'll read them on the air as well. We'll address them on the air. So your comments are welcome here on the live stream throughout the course of the show. Absolutely 100%.
You know what's difficult is we're discussing a heavy topic and then try to do what we normally do during a break and be goofy and stuff. So moments of silence have to do with the heavy topic.
Yeah, it's tough to switch gears like that. 100% tough to switch gears like that. Yeah, somebody who likes to run a fun, loosey-goosey show, when you get into stuff like this, it kind of takes away from that. But it also, it's an unfortunately necessary topic, I think, sometimes.
One minute. By the way, I have tried to watch The Office. I've made it through a couple episodes. I hear it gets better in season 2.
It does.
But so far it's just like awkward. Yeah.
That's kind of the tone of the show. It's meant to be a little cringy, but it picks up. Seasons 2 through 5 are easily the crescendo of the show. You got to struggle through 6 and 7 because they get a little over the top. And then I also argue that the series finale for The Office, it's worth struggling through seasons, 7 and 8? 6 and 7. Season 8 goes kind of back to the original tone, and then the series finale is one of the best series finales of any season. The Office and Parks and Rec had 2 of the best series finales of all time.
Well, I'm trying. Just let you know that I'm attempting.
Talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and everywhere on the radio.com app.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you, 844-GSP ESPN. Text us at 71307. 71307. Started with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. I do not intend for the entire show to be about Deshaun Watson and what's going on with him. In fact, in the next segment, I'm going to play you back the interview that I did yesterday with the head coach of the Greenville Triumph, John Harkes. We did a stream interview. And by the way, make sure that you are following us on all of our social media channels at ESPN Upstate on Facebook, on Twitter, etc., because we are going to start doing more web exclusive stuff moving forward. I did a web exclusive interview yesterday with John Harkes, the head coach of the Greenville Triumph. This past weekend, they went over to Cary and took on DC United. Yes, that DC United. That would be the DC United of Major League Soccer. Huge event in the history of the Greenville Triumph. And we will 100% play that article or play that interview back for you coming up in the next segment. In fact, I'm going to be getting out of here in just a minute, so we have plenty of time for that interview. May have to split it up into 2 segments for you. But real quick, last text on this, and again, your calls will be welcome about the Deshaun Watson story moving forward at 844-GSP, ESPN, Texas 71307. ESPN Hurricane Jeff text in. Hurricane Jeff says, I'm with you, Rob, in that I would like to see it play out before I make any assumptions as to guilt or innocence. I would like to flip the coin in a recent texter's theory about the Texans being the one planting the seed. What if Deshaun's people planted that seed to get him out of Houston, and when he is out, then all the charges are dropped? I'm not saying that this is the case, just throwing it out there. Yeesh. Nah, I'm gonna disagree with you there, Jeff. I appreciate the first half of you. I appreciate the whole text. Thank you for texting in.
I just have to say, though, that's about as preposterous as the other way.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, and it actually puts in light how crazy the other theory is that the Texans did that, because Deshaun wouldn't do that to himself, assassinate his own character. He would not. And neither would the Texans.
I agree. I think that's spot on. And that may, and let me be clear, that may very well have been Hurricane Jeff's take. That might have been his point, right? Was we can throw out just as outlandish of a theory the other direction, that would make just as much sense. So that might have absolutely been his point. And I appreciate that text, Jeff. You guys are welcome to continue to text in on this topic at 71307. I want to do this. I want to go ahead and pop out for our half-hour break. When we come back here in just a minute, I'm going to give you the interview that I did yesterday with the head coach of the Greenville Triumph, John Harkes. I'm probably going to have to take it in 2 segments because it is a little bit long, but I think it's a super cool interview, phenomenal interview with the man who's had a lot of success, both as a player and now as the head coach in the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champs of USL League One, Coach John Harkes. So let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I'll give you the first half of that interview with Coach Harkes. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, you. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're ready? Get that texting finger limbered up. You could win.
Zoe, before we get there, when I do this, do you hear a light buzzing sound coming over?
I hear nothing.
Okay, perfect.
But, there's a difference when you're listening on the Q speaker and you're listening on, now I hear it.
Okay,
I heard it. But I heard it when you were playing audio earlier also.
You did hear it earlier.
Yes, I did.
Damn it. I got to figure out how to make that go away, and I have not been able to figure out how. Because I can only, if I turn my volume on my computer all the way up, it gets super distorted. So I can keep it. Can you hear it right there? Here, let me do this.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God, Rob, stop yelling.
Monday. Welcome in. This is a special edition of the Rob Brown Show.
Does this sound okay?
Virtually across all of the ESPN
It's a little distorted.
platforms. Okay. I am Rob Brown, and joining me now, right next to me.
How about now? It's going to sound a little distorted because it's basically StreamYard audio.
Greenville Triumph, the reigning, defending, undisputed USL.
That works.
Okay. Coming off of a big weekend. Coach, thanks for you virtually across all of the ESPN Upstate social media platforms. I am Rob Brown, and all of the ESPN Upstate social media platforms. I am Rob Brown, and
all right. Queued up, ready to roll. Yeah, I don't know where that buzz comes from, and I can't figure it out.
It might be cable related. Might be related to the cable. That's the only thing I can think of.
Lashley Sheamus. Do I need to spend any time on that?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Anytime you just throw me up there by myself, I marvel at the size of my neck.
Somebody's been hitting that shoulder shrug machine.
No, it's just the size of my head. It automatically, you carry this thing around. You got to have a little bit in there to handle it.
The human brain weighs 8 pounds.
Does it really?
I don't know. That's a quote from Jerry Maguire.
Oh, okay.
That little nerdy kid says it.
Didn't that kid get arrested?
Did he?
I think maybe.
Did you see what happened to Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks? He got super into meth, and he looked awful. And then he got arrested for possession of meth, went to jail, came out, and since then has completely cleaned himself up and looks like a completely different human being. It's incredible.
Child stars, man.
Dude, I'm telling you.
30 seconds.
Perfect. I don't know that we'll get the whole interview in, but we'll get the important chunks of it.
Call 844-GSP ESPN. Text keyword ESPN and your message to 71307. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN Upstate.
So yesterday had the opportunity to talk with the head coach of the Greenville Triumph, John Hartz. We were preempted for basketball. So we did this on a virtual stream, which you likely had, if you follow us on social media, got the opportunity to watch. If you're on the stream, I'm actually going to play the video so you can watch it. But I'm going to play you a chunk of the interview that we did yesterday with Coach John Hartz of your Greenville Triumph. Here is that interview.
Joining me now, right next to me on this little virtual program, we got head coach of your Greenville Triumph, the reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champs, coming off of a big weekend. Coach, thanks for taking a minute, man. Great to have you. How's life?
Life is good, Rob. Thank you. Yeah, great to be on with you as well. And always great to be on your show. Things are going so well. Preseason right now. It's been good. I mean, we just finished our third week, and I think, as you know, we had a good preseason game against DC United this weekend. So just breaking down some video right now for some players, and everything's going pretty well.
And that's what we wanted to have you on to talk about, Coach, because I was texting back and forth with Chris Lewis, obviously a friend of the show as well, a coworker of yours there with the Triumph. And he texted me back on Saturday and said, I'm over here in Cary. We're playing DC United. And I knew that game was that exhibition for you guys was taking place. I know it was kind of behind closed doors, COVID restricted and all that.
Yeah.
But what an incredible moment for you guys to get to square off with an MLS team and get some time in against top tier players. Not just a tremendous opportunity for you guys as a team to grow, but to really kind of gauge yourself against top tier talent. Can you give me a little bit of behind the scenes at how that came about, the mindset of what you guys were looking to take away from that game, and then how you feel coming off of a big exhibition match against that squad?
Yeah, obviously they got a new coach, and they, putting together a squad, and they're in their preseason. Obviously, Major League Soccer is coming, fast and furious in their preseasons, getting games under their belt, and so reached out to us and wanted to get a game on. From our perspective, playing on March 20th was a little bit earlier than we wanted. Just from a physical periodization process, with the guys and getting them in there. But once the communication and we started to narrow down, a certain date that made sense, and with our club, we were able to get this on. And, you can't pass up an opportunity to play against a Major League Soccer team and test yourselves. It gives you a great opportunity to learn more about who we are and what we need to add to our game for next year. For this season, sorry, not next year, this season. And so, finally Wake Med Park, they've been training there, 4-hour bus ride for us, with Gene's bus, and we got the wraparound Greenville Triumph bus. We're going to get on the road and get up there. And, it's a great challenge for us. And it did show us quite a bit. And we played well. So we matched up the intensity level. Speed of play is always going to be something that you want to see your team kind of adapt to straight away, or you're actually sitting back to kind of observe and say, how long is it going to take us to get up to speed of play of a Major League Soccer team? But our guys fought and competed extremely well, scored first in the game, ended up tying 1-1, and created some great moments in the match. So overall, we take a lot of positivity from that. Certain little things, Rob, we've still got to tweak and kind of change and make sure that we have these discussions, open, clear communication with the players about what we're looking for. But early on, first game out of the gate like that, we kept the expectations low. And I got to be honest with you, I was pleasantly surprised with our group. I thought we played really well.
Good deal. So this is an interesting time to have an exhibition like that. I mean, a top-tier exhibition here with an MLS team, in that you've had a couple of veterans that have left the team, a couple of new guys who have signed on. You've got to be building chemistry. I know you guys have been going through regular training and everything, but this is kind of a whole different level for you as a head coach when you're trying to build that chemistry, especially in a sport where, depending on who you ask, chemistry really is everything. I mean, soccer's a very tough sport for one guy to play hero ball and take over. It just doesn't work like it does in basketball or football. When you're trying to build that chemistry with a new squad, even with a handful of vets from last year, and then you come up and you raise the level of competition and say, we are expecting you guys to go out there and compete with a top-tier MLS squad. As the coach, kind of how do you approach getting your team ready mentally of, hey, we want to go out there and compete, but we also want you to understand this is a learning experience for you guys as players, for you as a coach to kind of feel out where the chemistry level is. How do you approach getting the team ready for an event like that?
Well, it's exactly that. It's finding the balance and pushing the players throughout the preparation stages as we build up to that first game. And once we got the game on the calendar, we were able to say, okay, let's get 5 or 6 days ahead of that and kind of at least get some patterns of play, organization within our group, so that there's clear understanding there. And then it's just about go out and compete, see what we can do. And you always want to keep a fresh balance between, hey guys, it's not all about wins and losses in the preseason. It is about learning in that process, which you're talking about. But at the same time, we want to represent the club well. So if that means winning the game, yeah, we want to win the game. If it means tying or losing very well and creating good chances, and that's all part of it. But again, it's making sure that we know what we're about, not adapting or trying to play their style, but adapting, that club to our style. And we took it to them in a good way. It was a good performance from us. We've got, like I said, getting these guys ready. We've got 3 more big games in our preseason that are coming up against USL Championship sides, the next division up from us. Charleston Battery on the 2nd of April. We've got Louisville City on April 11th. And then Charlotte on April 17th, which will be down here at Bob Jones University on our training ground. And so far it's going well. The expectations are good. We don't want to drill them too early and push them too early. We don't want to get injuries early in this stage of the preseason either. But the guys came through healthy, number one, and they played pretty well.
Talk to me a little bit about the game itself. I mean, like I said, I know that this had kind of an odd match feel to it with it being an exhibition, 3 periods instead of 2 halves. And then, of course, obviously with COVID restrictions and the field that you guys were on being kind of a special place they're looking after, et cetera. With all of those challenges around the game itself, what can you tell us were your takeaways from the game itself? Any individuals that stood out that folks might want to keep an eye on the pitch this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of individuals did stand out. I mean, Alex Morel's pace got in behind them quite a bit in the way that he likes to run and control the wing. I thought Lachlan McLean coming back from a clavicle surgery injury in the offseason, he played well. I only kept him on for the first 30 minutes, but he did really well, scored the first goal, and he was linking up with the team extremely well as that top forward, kind of holding players off, and he was very strong. And then, you got a lot of different players like Don Smart coming in, a new veteran player that we got from Madison this year, Forward Madison, and he's stepping in as almost like a number 10 role. He can also play out in the wing. We've got guys back from surgery like JJ, who's come in and had knee surgery in the offseason, so he's playing again. We got Mario Slomis, a big signing. He played at North Carolina SC in El Paso in the USL Championship. He only played 30 minutes at the end because he just got cleared 2 days ago from traveling into quarantine and everything. And then also Max Hemmings, who had ACL surgery last year. He got back on the field. So from that perspective, look, our two center backs played extremely well. There was a lot of great stuff from our midfield. I mean, every player kind of contributed in a great way. And having said that, with all the adversity, like you said, the protocols, you have to do 2 tests back-to-back in a row before you play MLS in the COVID protocols. And we had to do another test today and send to them as well. So it's like 3 within 5 days, 6 days. So, a lot of that to go into, that's all part of it. That's what we do. That's going to be part of preseason. And, everybody will tell you there's scrimmages and friendly games, but it's not really friendly. It's not really friendly. You want to compete. You want to show what you're up against and challenge yourself. So I think we did. It was great for us.
All right, so we're gonna take a real quick break there. Let's take a real quick break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we'll wrap up hour number 2. I'll give you the back half of that interview coming up to open up the next hour. That'll be the first segment of the next hour. And we get away from the soccer a little bit, although that's an incredibly, incredibly impressive exhibition as the Greenville Triumph go out and square off and end up in a tie in a full exhibition against the MLS DC United. That's a big step up. But Coach Hart's talked a little bit about the community that has been built between the Greenville Triumph and the Upstate in the last couple of years since the inception of the team. We're going to hear from Coach Harks about that to open up the next hour. But let's take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up hour number 1. We'll give you your keyword for the ESPN $1,000 cash stash and get ready for hour number 3 right here on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.
Perfecto. Let me go queue up where in the interview we want to pick this up.
Everybody's challenging for the top of the table here throughout the year and the leaderboard and NFL championship team for everybody. April 24th to come into 2021 and represent well. We hold 41 pride in that. And I think it's a great point you bring up. I mean, we are
here, and I know people are already excited. Like I said, there was just a different feel and element in Upstate. And it was funny. I was that star to my jersey for me.
Stadium, and we want to see our through. So we're hoping that the way we're trending now and to be a club for the community. Number one, we
professional teams on the win. Legacy Early is packed in the supporter section, have the flags and the smoke against a bunch of out of shape guys.
Money, 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 money. Do I have any reads today, Zoe?
Yeah, you have whatchamacallit coming up.
Good old whatchamacallit. Harley?
No.
So
QC Kinetics.
No, the other one.
No cookie cutter portfolios here.
Who am I forgetting?
Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
Give me a moment, I'll find it.
Do I have either one of those today?
No.
Really? Wonder why I don't
You have a Prisma Health. That's the only one I see.
That's right. Huh, that's weird.
Agreed. I thought it was odd also.
Let's find out why.
So, as well as watching The Office, I am also trying to to watch a certain show about dragons that I just didn't really watch before. Yes, and
Stop now. Save yourself the anger.
well, I was encouraged by another host on this channel who just, you got to watch it. And I had trouble because, it starts out with incest and some other things. And it's just,
and it's sexual and it's everything.
So I'm watching an episode here and there late at night. I want to see the dragons, but I don't want to skip ahead to the dragons just to see how good they are, because I've heard that they're really good dragons.
Oh, it's phenomenally well filmed. It's just don't get invested in the story because
I already know how it ends. I know who wins. All that kind of stuff.
It's not even that. Like, it's just in season 7, they stop telling the story that was being told, and they start telling a story with the goal of getting to the end. And then in season 8, they're just like, screw everything. Here's what happened. It was the angriest.
So it's like skipping chapters in a book just to get to the last chapter to find out.
It's not even that. It's like if they took 22 chapters to tell this incredible story, and then in chapter 24 they were like, anyway, the bad guy wins, and just quit telling the story. It's obnoxious. Like, I have never been. If a TV show ends poorly, I go, oh, that's unfortunate. I felt personally insulted that I sunk 6 seasons into the show, and then just got screwed over in season 7. It's unbelievable.
So is it like a built-up wrestling storyline, and they decide to scrap the storyline type thing? Okay.
But imagine that it was the best wrestling story you've ever had from one WrestleMania all the way to Fastlane, and then at Fastlane they have the good guy come out and knock out the bad guy in one punch, and then leave. And then in WrestleMania,
you mean like
comes out and gets punched out again and loses, and then they just go, okay, that's the end of that story.
You mean like the Kevin Nash finger poke by Hulk Hogan to lose the belt?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes. That's a great comparison. Yes.
30 seconds. That was the most angry I've been as far as wrestling goes, because it was okay.
7 years into it.
Gotcha.
Hey, Rob can read. So he says. Email Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com and we'll put him to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show. Local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you. 844-GSP-ESPN. We will finish up that interview with Coach John Harkes in the first segment of the next hour. Then coming up at 2:15, we're going to be joined by Cole Bryson, of course, the voice of Burns High School, one of the most knowledgeable high school football dudes in the area. He is going to
don't build him up like that. The most knowledgeable. Are you kidding?
I believe I said one of the.
Well, you did say one of the. Okay, all right. As long as
I'll give him one of the most knowledgeable.
As long as you don't make him the pinnacle, we're all right with that.
Here's what I know. In the year that I have been here, the year and some change I've been here, there are a handful of dudes that have become my go-to in high school football. Our buddy Kevin Thomas, right here with Intercom, also runs a podcast and blog called Moving the Chains, where he covers high school football. He is up on that list, and Cole Bryson are the two go-to guys. Now, I know that every high school program has their super fans, like people who can tell you the history. Yeah, back in 1962, in week 3, we did this, that, and the other, and super fans. But when it comes to just overall total knowledge, those two guys have become the staples. Cole's going to join us coming up at 2:17, because there was a huge story that broke out of Burns High School earlier today. Burns has made a hire to their staff that's absolutely incredible, and we're going to let Cole tell us all about it coming up at about 2:17. John Harkes will finish up that interview we did with him yesterday to open the next hour. Then, of course, we'll have a segment before Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show in hour number 3. All of that is around the corner, and I am very, very, very much looking forward to it. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Plus, speaking of, in that Harkes interview, John Harkes actually broke a pretty cool piece of news about the Greenville Triumph yesterday on our stream, and you will hear that news coming up in the first segment of the next hour. But before we get there, your keyword for the 2 o'clock hour today is going to be taxi, T-A-X-I. Your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate by texting the word taxi, T-A-X-I, to 72881. 72881. Taxi is in, I'll be able to afford my own car and won't have to take a taxi if I win the $1,000 by texting that word to 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this upcoming hour's keyword is taxi. Text it to 72881 for your chance to become the 4th listener to ESPN Upstate to win $1,000. Back after this to wrap up the show on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate.
2 in the books on a Tuesday, Zoe. Oh, you know what? Today's Tuesday. I mean, that's not. I just gave out the wrong word. It's actually treat. Remind me to correct that coming out of the break.
Did you really? Uh-oh. That's not good.
No, it's not.
They frown upon that.
I have been told. All right. Yep. Got to fix that coming out of the break. So for those of you that are watching on the stream, the keyword is actually for the 2 o'clock hour treat. T-R-E-A-T, treat.
For those of you watching, Wild Cherry, excellent water. My favorite is peach. I am curious as to what Rob's favorite is because we both drink the same kind of water, not on purpose.
Today's is the mandarin orange. It tastes, though, like Sunkist.
I have had the mandarin orange. It's a little too citrusy for me.
Oh, I love citrus, so it works perfect. It's the Florida in me. The power rankings for me are number 1, cherry vanilla. Number 2, mandarin orange. Number 3, black cherry. Number 4 is the wild cherry, which you got. And then number 5 is the orange and cream. Tastes like a creamsicle.
BetQL app today. Warning.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
I have an apology and a correction to issue. This hour's keyword for your chance to win $1,000 in the cash stash presented by ESPN Upstate is treat. T-R-E-A-T. It is T-R-E-A-T, treat. Text the word treat, T-R-E-A-T, to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword for this hour, texted at any point between now and the end of the hour, is treat. T-R-E-A-T. For your chance to win $1,000 and become the 4th listener on ESPN Upstate to win $1,000. Again, the keyword is treat, TREAT. Text it to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. I read Monday's keyword for the 2 o'clock hour because it feels like a Monday to us, Lonzo. We were off yesterday, preempted. Now, that being said, I want to play for you the back half of the interview that we did with John Harkes, the head coach of the Greenville Triumph. Got a few minutes to talk with Coach Harkes yesterday about his team's exhibition against the DC United of the MLS. He also went on to talk a little bit about the season under COVID and the fact that this soccer community in the Upstate has grown tremendously, and the Triumph have A, thrived because of it, and B, have also been able to help grow that community now around the community, which has been phenomenal. So here is the back half of that interview with Coach John Harkes of the Greenville Triumph.
Pretty excited. Like I said, the couple of times that I've seen the trophy out in public and we've been able to get a few Triumph fans together, there's just an energy and electricity there that as somebody who's traveled to a lot of different places with professional teams on the same level as a Triumph, that sense of community is really here in a way that I have not felt it in other groups. And for a team that's as new as the Triumph is, A, to accomplish what you've accomplished, but B, to be building that foundation of that group, Coach, I can't imagine that you guys and your players don't kind of feed off of that a little bit.
Oh, no, we definitely do, Scott. I think it's a great point you bring up. I mean, we are, I took this job down here under Joe Irwin, talking with Chris Lewis, and, to be a club for the community. Number one, we want to thrive in the community. We want to be connected to the local, ownership groups and stores and, partners that we have. And we want to build that up. And it's huge to take a full responsibility on to do that. And that's what Joe Irwin wants to do. And, we've been taking pride in that and what we're doing when we make these appearances in the community. But we also want to have that direct connection to our fans. And we want to make sure that they have it to us. And so there is no better feeling when you step on that field in Greenville Triumph Stadium, at Legacy Early College. We've seen it, Rob. You've seen it when it's packed. I mean, when it's a full house in there, it's loud and the fans are passionate. And, slowly but surely we would love to get back to that. But even seeing, 2,000 fans, in a capacity, socially distanced in our stadium is going to be exciting because, we hold 4,100. The stadium's fantastic for game day experience. We have the beer garden, we have the partners all there as well. It's just a really good, we put on a good event. I'll tell you that much. Our club does a great job in game day events for the stadium. And so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to having that connection with the fan base and the community and the fans and, picking up the excitement here as we championship team that wants to come into 2021 and represent well.
Sure. And we saw the schedule get dropped, or at least the early portion of the schedule get dropped last week. As you look, and we're going to take, and by the way, those of you watching the stream right now, if you guys want to leave questions for Coach Harkes in the comments, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, drop a comment. We'll be happy to ask Coach Harkes a couple of questions from the viewers here in a minute. But when you saw the schedule drop, Coach, A, excitement level within the club in being just a month away from getting games underway, getting matches underway that are going to count towards the USL League One playoffs? And B, was there anything that jumped out to you early? I mean, we've got a date early, obviously, with Texas championship opponent a couple of years ago, date with UMass Omaha. I mean, there are some matches early in the season that look like they're going to be tests. What jumped out to you when you saw the schedule release for the first time?
I think a lot jumped out, Rob. I mean, April 24th away at Richmond, a difficult team. We lost to Richmond last year away on the road 2-1. And it was during a time, too, where there was, the guys and, everybody in our country was, focused on social injustice and COVID and everything. So, we want that kind of game back again. We want to go out and compete and get up to Richmond and see if we can get a result up there. Being at home in the first game against, North Texas that beat us in the final in 2019. Yeah, we want to have that game, for sure. And we're playing tough teams, at the top of the table. These are teams that finish, third, fourth, and fifth, in our league, and then we're playing North Carolina FC in that third game of the season, and they've been a USL championship team for a long time and have played extremely well. So they've moved into our league, and it makes it very competitive, very competitive. So we're looking forward to those games, certainly with Omaha and being able to play. It sounds like it's been announced, and I think it's going to be on ESPN too. So that's pretty special for a club like us to have that. And I think our fans really look at us and say, wow, there's no easy game again. Everybody's challenging for the top of the table here throughout the year and the leaderboard. And we want to fight, and we want to make Triumph Stadium a place that people can come in, be safe, enjoy the environment, be excited to connect with the team. But also we want to make it a place where we don't lose games. We want to go undefeated at home if we can. And last year we lost one game at home. So we've had some good records at Triumph Stadium, over at Legacy, and we want to continue to do that.
I was talking with Chris earlier today, as a matter of fact, when we were getting this set up, Coach, and he said something really kind of interesting to me. He said, look, we're not coming out this year to defend the trophy. We're coming out to attack to get another one. And I think a lot of people kind of the language there is important.
So he's stealing basically what I told him in the car on the weekend. So
I knew it sounded way too
much. Actually, give me credit for that. That's how we approach this. That's our perspective. We don't want to defend the title. We don't want to say to anybody that, hey, there's a target on our back, and that just puts you into a kind of pigeonhole spot where you say, oh, pity party, feel sorry for us because everyone's coming after us. We don't want that. From a perspective of the narrative we're discussing with the team. And I told Chris this, and I told Joe Irwin and Doug Irwin in a meeting on Thursday that we are going after a championship in 2021. The work we did in 2020 is over. That's done. You can't kind of live off of that. You've got to live in the now. Your primary purpose is, what are we doing now? So we just want to win a championship in 2021. That doesn't mean we're defending the title. That's not it. You have to change that mindset of the players. And so the mindset is, we're going out to compete. When we go out to compete, let's get the spots, that we want to get in the table. We start every game. Everyone forgets this, but we start every game with 1 point. Every game you start with 1 point. Don't lose that 1 point. If you can get 3, go and get the 3. Go get the win. But if you can still preserve that 1 point, that adds up throughout the season, and it becomes very vital towards the end as we turn the corner into September. So we've got to be, we've got to approach it in the right way.
A couple of viewer questions, Coach. First one comes in from a guy we all know personally, our buddy Ross, who says, will we see some journalists joining for the final 3 friendlies? So what can those of us who are following the off-season progression of the Triumph, anything interesting we can expect to see that might shape up and change what we see on opening day?
Yeah, for sure. And, Ross has always got some inside information, Rob. You guys, both you guys, it's hard to keep everything away from you guys. You find a way to find out what's going on in our club. We have had 5 trialists on 6 total, but we did actually offer a contract to one of those, and they signed. So that announcement will be coming either later today or tomorrow with that one player. And then the remaining 5 trialists, we will probably be making some decisions by Wednesday or Thursday of this week by adding them for the rest of those 3 friendlies as well. And, we've got 16 pros, field players on our roster. We want to get up to about 19, 20 as a final roster. So we're looking at 4 more slots possibly, and maybe even 1 from a local college that would look like we might be signing in May. Once they graduate, they're playing their spring ball right now because, as you know, COVID shut down the fall NCAA, and they're competing in the spring. So we might be offering a player coming out of a local college here to join us as well.
Very nice. We'll keep a look for those updates. Our buddy Anderson Brock, who I got the privilege to meet this past weekend, says, from start to finish, the Triumph were the top of the table in 2020, back-to-back finalists and now defending champs. Do you feel there is an expectation to repeat? and that being a finalist is an expectation for the club.
Yeah, I think, you're always putting, high expectations, but realistic expectations. It's difficult to go and repeat titles. I think everybody in every sport will tell you that. But, from day one, we're preparing the team to go out and win a championship in 2021. Does that mean that comes with more pressure? Probably. But pressure is what, can push you on to great heights and great achievements. If that's a goal of ours, we've set that as a goal. We want to get to the final for sure. And so we've got to find a way to do that. And that's managing along the line the whole season. Having the emotional fan base like Brock and those guys sitting in the crowd, we see them and they cheer on. They are very passionate people. And to have that push our players on the game day at Triumph Stadium over at Legacy is pretty phenomenal to see. And there's a lot of fans, like you said, Rob, early on, and Brock will even tell you this too. There's a lot of fans that I know that are Clemson football fans that are now coming to our games. They want to come in and see what all the hype is about. They want to come and watch Greenville Triumph. And, when we first started this club, we were saying, hey, are we going to get a big fan base? Are we going to get the core, supporters groups that really follow us? And we've seen that happen. COVID kind of put a halt on that a little bit. So we're excited to see them share the expectations and the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs throughout the whole year, which is going to be difficult. We know that, but we're really excited to share that together with our fans.
One of the things I've loved since I got here, Coach, is not just the passion that the Reedy River Riot and the Familia and all these groups that have sprung up have for the Triumph, but the fact that when I talk to you and Chris and Doug and everybody within the administration, you guys know the people in the groups too. I mean, on a first name basis for many of them, which shows me, like you talked about, that connection with the community. I mean, there's, like I said, I've been around a lot of clubs and very few of them have that type of passion back and forth. I don't want to keep you too long, Coach. I know you guys are busy. So just any parting thoughts you want to share with the fans, the viewers that are watching right now about, anything going on in the offseason they know about and your excitement level to get ready for the 2021 season to kick?
Yeah, I'd love to share with the fans that, please get your season tickets. We would love to see you committed to our club, just like we're committed to having a very challenging team on our roster. We're adding more depth to our team, with a lot of veteran players coming in. This year, we're going to see the U.S. Open Cup being presented, and we're going to be able to contribute to that and participate in that. I believe it hasn't had a full opening or an announcement yet, but I think that's going to be something that can be really exciting about. It's the oldest tournament in the country in any sport, and I love playing in it. So we want to represent there. And just knowing that, we do know each and every one of the fans that are in these supporters groups, and whether it be Football Fanatics, Familia, Reedy River Riot, or even the American Outlaws that support both U.S. and women's national teams, as well as our club and Atlanta United. We want to make sure that we connect with them. And I'm actually, my idea is to have a special, maybe once a week when we're home, kind of meeting with our supporters groups that I could share with them some of the tactics we're doing throughout the week in training and building up to the game, which I think will bring them a great connection and knowledge to like what we're doing and why.
I love it. Coach John Harks, head coach of the Greenville Triumph. They played DC United in an exhibition this past Saturday, won exceptionally well. We'll get you some more details about that tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. When we get back live on the radio, Coach, my man, thanks again. Congratulations on a tremendous exhibition, and we will get you back on real soon.
Thank you so much, Rob. Great to be on with you as always.
There you have it. There's Coach John Harks. He's the head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League champions, the Greenville Triumph. When we come back, Cole Bryson joins us to break a little news about Burns High School, and it is news that speaks to all high school football programs around the upstate. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you. This is ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play.
I guess I should unmute myself. Yeah, I think he very much enjoyed being on that call. Harks is a guy, though, that I think he genuinely loves being able to talk to, with, and interact with the people around the upstate. And if I haven't convinced you to go see a Triumph game yet, I don't know what else I need to say to do it, man. It is the excitement level is there. The energy's there. The sport's fantastic. The team is good, which is always the biggest challenge to getting people involved. Is the team's got to be good. Nobody's going to go watch a team that's not good. Unfortunately, that's just a reality. And he's got those guys playing at that. Well, I mean, they're champs, the highest level in the league. So yeah, I think he enjoys being able to talk to, the people that love that program, and it comes across when we do interviews like that, no doubt about it. Rhea Ripley, ladies and gentlemen. My man Lonzo working the phones hard over there.
Just having a conversation with Cole Bryson. Yes. Talking shop and stuff, you know. I know you can't tell on the air, but Cole's a big goofball.
Me, him, and Stathakis. Hopefully mid-April, everything goes right. Are going to do a little fishing trip up towards Columbia somewhere, I think.
Well, with all the stuff he's been posting lately, man, he's been reeling them in. So I hope it's not a competition or you guys are in trouble.
I have never been freshwater river fishing before. So if it is a competition, you can handicap me at about -8.
Fishing's fishing. I mean, if you get it is to a certain degree. Yeah, sure it is. I know you got to have the right tackle, the right all that kind of stuff. But you're saying technique is so much different.
So when you go deep sea fishing, right? Deep sea fishing, it's a whole different story. It is drop the bait down, understand the difference between the current at the bottom, kind of blowing your bait around versus actually getting a hit. It's a much more fine-tuned process of setting the hook. It's a much longer fight because you're bringing a fish up from 70, 85, 90 feet under the ocean.
Gotcha.
Whereas with freshwater fishing, it's more about understanding where you should put your bait. Well, I mean, if you don't throw your bait in exactly the right spot, the fish won't even look at it.
30 seconds.
Yeah, it's a different. It's like saying that cricket and baseball are the same thing. Are the fundamentals the same? I mean, to some degree.
No, come on. It's not like that. It is not like that. No, it's not. Although I've only been I've never been deep sea fishing, but I have been fishing otherwise. So I don't know.
Need to get you down to Destin and take you out on the golf fishing.
Still haven't been to Florida yet. So eventually, someday.
Get you down to Destin. I'll get you up.
Wanted.
Well, opinions are like, we'll say, everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate, joined now on the phone line by one of the most knowledgeable dudes in the hood when it comes to high school football around this area. You have heard his voice on ESPN Upstate many times. My man Cole Bryson joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. C-Money, what's happening, brother? How we doing, man?
Man, I kind of thought I had called at the wrong time or something when you said the most knowledgeable. I kind of looked at my watch to see if I called in the wrong slot.
Cizo, what you'll recognize is that amongst us radio dudes, self-denigration is our go-to defense mode.
Absolutely.
And if you're watching on the Facebook feed, you saw me pointing towards the phone because I said the same thing about Cole earlier, that when you gave him all that credit, I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, come on.
Don't give me any credit. I promise I'm not worthy of credit. What's going on with you guys? Good to be with you.
Yeah, man. Great to have you. Before we got a huge story coming out of Burns High School that I want to get into with you, Cole. But before we do there, Lonzo said to me on our Facebook stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, I was talking about the fact that I and my buddy, our buddy, Michael Stathakis are trying to get a little fishing trip going. And I said to Zoe, he said, I hope it's not a competition because Cole, who you can follow on Twitter, has been absolutely smoking it lately with the rod and reel. And I said, well, I hope it's not a competition because you're going to need to handicap me at about -8 fish on the day, if so. And he said, well, man, you've been fishing your life. Fishing is fishing. And I was trying to explain to Lonzo the difference between my fishing, going out deep sea fishing, versus the fishing that you do. And he said it's all the same thing, Cole.
No. It's a different sport. It's a totally different sport. Totally different sport. You're fishing in two totally different bodies of water. There's no similarities at all.
I said to him,
Wait. No similarities at all. Do you use a rod and a reel?
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't.
Do you? Okay. 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 So do you use a net? Do you use fishing line? So there are similarities there. I get there are differences in methodology, but in the end, it's still the same thing. You're still fishing.
What I said to him, Cole, and I'll let you be the arbiter of this discussion.
You guys are being arrogant about this. I just want you to know that.
We're being correct about this, Lonzo. There's a difference. What I said to him, Cole, is that freshwater v. deep sea fishing is like comparing cricket and baseball in that at its foundations, there are a couple of similarities in the way that you approach it. But at the end of the day, they're two completely different games.
100%. Dead on. Couldn't have said it any better. Sorry, Lonzo. Sorry to piss in your cornflakes, but Rob's right.
Well, it's not unusual for me to be in a room where everybody's wrong but me. So I'm okay.
His humility comes just behind his good looks there, Cole. All right, let's get to what we brought you on here for, C-Money, and that is the fact that there is a big-time story about a new staff addition at Burns High School. Give us a little bit of background and what you know about a very impressive new hire for one of the schools right here in our listening area.
Well, I think it's you have to start in the fact and bring up the discussion of Burns High School making a point of emphasis on putting value in strength and conditioning. If you know anything about Burns, you know that Mike Schrock, who announced his retirement not long ago, retired from Burns. He was a legend in terms of Burns, getting Burns to a lot of championships in all different sports, came from Florida. And obviously, that's huge shoes to fill. And a lot of schools, most schools in the area, when you hire a new strength and conditioning coach, it usually doesn't really break the news. But at Burns, when you have a history of strength and conditioning and such a rich history, when you have a guy like Mike Schrock who just paved the way, and I'm being literal when I say Mike Schrock created the strength and conditioning coach job in South Carolina. There were not many schools in the state that had strength and conditioning coaches before Mike Schrock. So,
I just want to jump in real quick. And what a great guy he is. And I remember interviewing him early on when he was getting going with the strength and conditioning and the intensity that guy had. So just replacing the intensity, not only in the weight room, but on the sideline, that's got to be hard to do.
Yeah, and it is 100% hard to do. And if you talk to anybody that's been Bobby Bentley or anybody that was involved with the Burns programs in the past when they were winning championships, they'll tell you that Mike Schrock and the strength and conditioning program had a huge hand. So in saying that, with him retiring, they had big shoes to fill, and I believe they filled those shoes. They've hired a guy by the name of Keith Caton to be the next strength and conditioning coach at Burns. Keith is not familiar with the high school level as much as he is the college level. And the reason I say that is he has 22 years of experience at the college level. His resume is just incredible. I mean, the stops that he's had along the way from Auburn to Baylor to Indiana, to Illinois, his most recent stop at Syracuse, where he'll be coming from. His resume is top notch. I don't think you're going to be able to find a better resume. And Burns obviously wasn't able to find a better resume. So, again, Burns has hired Keith Caton as their next strength and conditioning coach. He's coming from Syracuse, where he worked closely with a football team. He was an assistant coach there, and I think this is a home run hire for the Rebels.
20 years of experience. He's been at Baylor, Western Kentucky, Missouri, Elon, Auburn, and Southern Miss, as well as, like Cole mentioned, Indiana and now Syracuse. He has been everything from assistant strength and conditioning to up to the director level. He's been in SEC programs. He's been around the country. Cole, that is an enormous hire. I mean, you hear about strength and conditioning coaches at the college level, and these guys, you look at the position at places like Alabama, like Florida, and over the last couple of years, college coaches have really placed an emphasis on having somebody in that position that is not just a strength and conditioning coach, but somebody that really gets these kids ready to play and gets their body in peak physical condition. When you sent it to me earlier today and I'm reading through, I looked through his profile and his biography, and I thought to myself, dude, if my favorite college football team hired this guy, I would think it was an incredible hire. And here's Burns High School making a D1 level hire for this position.
Yeah, it's incredible, and the credit goes to Tony Gillespie and the entire, and Tony Gillespie, the AD, wasn't the only hand in this. The entire athletic department. When I mean all of the coaches had say so in this. When Keith met with all of the coaches, they were super impressed. And kind of in an article you'll read coming up later this afternoon on ESPN Upstate, people love that Keith was so familiar with not just football, but throughout all of his stops at the college level, he has had a hand in many different sports. And as an AD and as a principal, and as a district, and as a board, as a school, you want to have somebody who's obviously going to improve and help all sports, because we know that football is king here in the South, but Burns High School has a tradition of winning state championships in other sports as well, like wrestling and basketball and softball. So I think it's a huge hire. I think he's excited. The college level man is so much different. I think he's excited to be able to spend time with his family and kids from what I've heard. And I think he's excited just to be able to have something different. And it's a completely different ball game than coming from Syracuse, New York at the college level, where you work almost every day of the year. Now coming down to the South to South Carolina, where you can see your kids play, and you'll be able to have a hand in helping your kids get through athletics and maturing them and growing them. So I think he's excited, and he seems like the absolute perfect fit for Burns. Now,
you have my understanding, and I could be wrong here, correct me if I am, you've actually had the opportunity to talk to him so far. Can you give us a little bit of a thought about how that interview went?
Yeah, just not long ago at all, I actually got to talk to him. And listen, he is. I was so bad wanting to post the interview, but it turned into a long conversation of him and I going back and forth. And man, he's top drawer. I mean, I know you can't tell a ton over the phone. And the funny thing is, he hasn't even met anybody from Burns yet in person. When in New York, They have some strict laws still, some strict rules surrounding COVID and leaving and college protocol and stuff like that. So he wasn't able to. He actually did a virtual interview, and so him and I talked today. And he is just so ecstatic. You can tell by talking to him that he is so knowledgeable. That just over the phone, I wanted to run through a wall. He's the guy that the kids are going to love to play for. You have instant credibility when he walks in the room because of his resume. And my God, have you seen a picture of the dude? I told him on the phone. I said, listen, don't even start judging me based on my health when you get here, man. This dude looks like a freak of nature. So. He's gonna have instant credibility, and I think he's definitely the right fit.
Can you give us, and do you have any insight onto how this ended up taking place? Because as I look through this playing out, and by the way, I do have to tell you, Cole, and this is fantastic. This is how you can tell a guy is genuinely trying to integrate himself into the community. While we are doing this interview, Cole, Keith and his wife, Adrian, have just followed ESPN Upstate on Twitter, like while we're talking about it right now, which is incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about how this relationship came to be? Again, this is to most people who maybe don't know the in and outs of the strength and conditioning role for a school like Syracuse, for a school like Burns. It almost kind of seems a little odd that he would make the shift from a D1 ACC school like Syracuse to high school. But it's not necessarily the craziest move in the world. Can you give us a little bit of your insight on that?
Well, it's funny you said that. That was actually the very first question I asked him. I said, listen, when I talk to people, the most glaring question here, Keith, is going to be how in the world was, little old Burns High School able to get a guy from Syracuse who's been all over the country at the college level. And, his response to me was very humble. He said, man, I feel like it's the other way around. I feel lucky to be able to come to Burns, to be able to come to a program with such rich history. And he had a contact, Rob, that he used to coach with, that I believe now is in athletic sales, that was familiar with the Carolinas and saw the job posting and sent him a link. It was kind of a crazy thing how it all worked out. But he had heard of Burns before. He was at Elon for a stint back in the early part of the decade, and he knew the schools in the areas and the schools in the Carolinas, and obviously Burns was a heavy hitter back when he was at Elon. I believe that wasn't far from the time Burns was winning all the championships in football, but it was kind of ironic how it worked out. And yeah, it is, when you read the article and you see his resume, that's one of the things. That's the first thing I thought of was how in the world was Burns able to get this guy? So, talking to him, he feels like it's the other way around, that he's lucky to be at Burns, and that just is a testament to him and his character. And I think it's a huge hire, but I think it's a better fit. When you hire people, you want to make sure, obviously, they're qualified to do the job, but you want to make sure they're a good fit. And I think this is a great fit for Keith Caton and Burns.
Cole Bryson joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Cole, before we let you go, after this came across, obviously we've had a couple of Burns fans that have reached out and have asked what the effect this might have on the program would be. Speaking both as somebody with a deep connection to Burns football and as kind of a high school football expert in the area, what do you think the impact of a hire like this would be for Burns High School, and what kind of impact will it have on the high school culture here in the area?
Well, I think it only continues what Mike Schrock was able to build at Burns. And, he was able to build a foundation and lay a foundation that just set the bar extremely high, not only at Burns, but in the entire state, as you talked about, and in the area. So for a guy to come in and continue that and build on that, and if Keith Caton is able to help this program get back to the top, because that's what it all boils down to, man. In sports, especially in football, the biggest, strongest, fastest guys win. That's just, it's plain and simple. So if the strength and conditioning is excelling, and you are doing all you can to be the best, at strength and conditioning, your program, your sports programs, that's going to show on the field. And I think it's going to have a huge impact. I think I don't want this to come across the wrong way, Rob, but as great as Mike Schrock was, sometimes kids get tired of the same thing. And Mike Schrock was at Burns for a good while. And I'm not saying kids got tired of Mike Schrock. I don't want anybody to hear this the wrong way. But change is sometimes good, And I think that Mike Schrock did an incredible job, and I think that the kids are excited and will be excited about newness and about a new guy and about a new face. I don't know if the way they do things will change much, but sometimes change is good. And again, I don't want to make that sound like a slap in the face to anybody or anything that's already happened, but I think sometimes, newness can create excitement, especially for high school athletes.
Cole Bryson is, without question, our go-to voice for high school football here in the upstate. Again, if you missed it, huge breaking news out of Burns High School. They have hired Keith Caton. He is the former strength and conditioning coach at Syracuse University to come down and take over that position at Burns High School. Huge story, man. Cole, appreciate you helping us break it here on the show, brother. We'll get that story up for you on ESPN Upstate in the next few minutes. And as always, my man, thanks for your time. Look forward to going to slay some fins with you in the next few days.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Always good to talk to you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. That's Cole Bryson. You can follow Cole again on Twitter. His handle is at the Cole Bryson, at the Cole Bryson. So only the coolest of cats put the out front of their name on the Twitters.
Absolutely.
All right.
Someday you might do that.
Think about it. Anyway, follow me on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter, at Lonzo on Word, at ESPN Upstate. Quick break, come back. We'll get through the last segment and then Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on.
If you get a minute before you got to bail, can you clip that interview and send it to me so I can get it up on the website?
If it was for anybody other than Cole, yes. But because it's for Cole, it might take me a while.
I hope Cole's watching the stream right now.
Yes, I will do that first thing when I get off the air.
Appreciate it.
So, Rob, I'm curious, and I know this is kind of talking shop on the air, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm curious as to how you placed that video in there because I would like to do that this weekend, and I'm not sure how to do that.
So down at the bottom when you are hosting, you got the little white box with the mute, stop cam mic options where the settings is.
Mm-hmm.
There is a button that says share screen. When you click on that, it will bring up another screen that says share screen. You click on that. Then it will bring up to you a box that asks you what you'd like to share, and it'll give you the opportunity to share a particular Chrome tab. So you can just share one tab, an app window. So you can, I just do the entire share in full screen, but you can select a Chrome tab. So for instance, I will select, let's say, StreamYard. So it just uses what we have, and then click share. So there you go. And then down at the bottom, you have options where you can have it share just your face like that, and it'll overlay it.
Okay.
You can do it like that. So it will have, if you have more than one host, you can do that and have all your hosts up there with it overlaid. Or you can click that button, which is the full screen button, and you can only have the web page up there.
All right. So my question is, what if you have a saved video like on your laptop? Can you grab the saved video?
Yes. So you can open it up in like a media player, like Windows Media Player, whatever it is. And then when you go into that share screen, it'll ask you what which option you would like to utilize. You would go to the select tab, select that media player, that would be application window. Select that media player, and then it'll bring that up, and then you just push play on the media player, and it play in that window by itself.
Well, I'll play around with it because we're celebrating our 5th year on Upstate Pulse, and I would like to grab a video of us doing a parody song and throw it up there. That's one thing to play the audio, but it's totally different to show how much fun we had doing it live on the air.
So like if you open the media player, I'm actually going to try it now just to make sure I have it right. So if I open the media player and then I go share screen and then share screen again, it'll open up the options. I'll go to application window, Windows media player, share just the player. And I can't see the screen, but it should have my player up there with no items in it.
Well, it's efforting. There we go. Now it's up there.
Yeah,
okay.
That would be up there. And then if I go to the player, I'm not going to play anything because I don't think I have anything on here to play.
Okay. Plus, you should be careful because who knows what's in there. Yeah.
So there you go. So
your pictures are showing up now.
That would be how you do that. And it would only show the media player. So then on your laptop, you would go to the media player and click play or select whatever you want. And it will not show that. I mean, it'll show anything you're doing in the media player, but it won't show the whole screen. It'll just show the media player.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, come back.
Us anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, quick little segment here. Remind you that your keyword for this hour for your chance to win a grand in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate, the 2 o'clock hour keyword is treat. T-R-E-A-T. T-R-E-A-T. Make sure you text that into 72881. If you text it into our text number, it will not come through. So text it to 72881 for your chance to win a grand on the ESPN Upstate Cash Stash. We will, let's do this. I know it was a short segment here, but let's go ahead and jump to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, Twitter trending topic. Zoe is going to tell me what is trending on Twitter. I'm going to give you 30 to 45 seconds about what I know about it. If I don't know why it's trending, I will make something up incomprehensibly. It is everybody's favorite game. We talk about what you're talking about with Twitter trending topics. Coming up next to round out the show, I'm Rob. He's Zoe. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah, so just make sure that when you go into the share screen, you go to it gives you the option of sharing your entire screen, an application window, or just a single Chrome tab. If you're playing off a media player, you're just going to want to go to application window, select the player, and then it will go and put that up there for you. Oh, he's doing a live read, so he's not even listening to me. Well, anyway, streamers, for those of you who want to use StreamYard, that's how you do it right there. You learn something new every day, even if it doesn't apply to you in your life. All right, quick break. I'll be right back. I will leave you in the capable hands of the great one. And we're back. Let's see. Comment here. Trying to teach an old. I'll see if Keegan. I'll see if Zoe recognizes you're talking about him when he comes back. Zoe has taught me plenty of tricks, my man. Plenty of tricks in this business since I've been here. A little over a year now. Man, time flies when COVID's having fun, doesn't it?
I was gonna say those dad kicks, man. They helped me kick right. They helped me to kick right down the hall and right back in no time.
Those air monarchs will get you places with speed.
It's the air, man. It's the air.
Hashtag dad kicks.
My wife said she was going to message you or call in and tell you how I didn't want these shoes and how I kept going past them, and they're the only ones I could find that were in wide. And so, and there was something about them that I didn't want. Little did I know the reason was
they were dad shoes.
Well, in the end, not only am I a dad, I'm a granddad. So, And also, what do I care about cool? I don't care. I wear T-shirts and sweats to work. What do I care? But you know what? I can dress up when I need to.
You can.
That's all I'm saying.
In fact, watch this. Speaking of things we can do. Oh, I didn't post it yet. I'm going to post hashtag Suit Lonzo to our social media later. We'll share that with the people tomorrow.
Back when I decided I was going to go Vince McMahon on the on the catwalk. And yeah, well, it should have been a cakewalk to go Vince McMahon. Started out with the strut, and then I saw all the photographers gathered around, and my chest tightened, and I couldn't do it anymore.
So you gave like one walk, one little.
Oh, there's a little bit of. I got the first one, and then it's like, oh crap, everybody's looking at me.
That's how fashion shows work, Lonzo.
Yeah, I get that's the whole point of it, but I really, really was going to pull that off, and I couldn't quite do it. So
I can't tell you how much money I would have paid to have been there for Suit Lonzo on the catwalk.
My wife still has a video. If I get a chance, I'll send it to you. I just for some reason don't.
Don't start with the dad kicks. He took forever trying to find the right shoes and was not happy when he got home. Keegan says Suit Lonzo sounds like an unlockable character.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Oh, man. That's incredible.
It's science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
It's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he will tell you what he knows. I will also tell you should pay attention to our Facebook Live feed. You get some interesting conversation that you may not get on the air. All right, the first thing that's trending is Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is trending because a guy on Twitter claimed that while eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch, he found a few shrimp tails at the bottom of the box, and they were coated in cinnamon and toast. whatever the secret spice is there.
The toast is covered in cinnamon.
Whatever.
Yeah, there's like small. You've never had Cinnamon Toast Crunch before?
I have.
Okay.
Listen, my brain's dumb sometimes. All right, we know that. You've listened to this show long enough. I'm an idiot. It is what it is. So we found a couple of shrimp tails at the bottom of a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and he sent in a tweet. And basically, he was like, "Hey, look, I found these shrimp tails." And Cinnamon Toast Crunch wrote back and was like, "That's our bad. Let us know. We want the deets, and we're going to hook you up with a free box." And the guy seemed very content with just an apology, which I think the majority of us would not be, like, at all. But then Cinnamon Toast Crunch wrote back on Twitter and said, "After investigation, we've come to the conclusion that this is not shrimp tails. These are little conglomerations of the powder, basically, like it must have gotten wet or something."
They look like shrimp tails. I've seen the picture. They look just like shrimp tails.
The guy put up a close-up photo, and they were most definitely shrimp tails in this guy, if they were indeed in the box. But he's pretty committed to he found them in there. So anyway, everybody's basically dragging Cinnamon Toast Crunch for going, "Oh, those aren't shrimp tails. They're just congealed conglomerations of the secret spice." And it's become so now. But the best part is, if you're following along on Twitter, Lonzo, the best part of it at this point is that now people are sending out pictures of all the random places they're finding shrimp tails, and it's getting funnier by the minute.
Have you ever ate the entire shrimp tail and all?
No, man.
Sometimes you do that as a kid.
Listen, I am a refined coon-ass. I cook with shrimp all the time. Shrimp is arguably in my like my top 3 favorite foods: buffalo wings, shrimp, and pasta. And you can combine those last 2 to make a super dish. But you peel the shrimp, you cretin.
Well, breaded shrimp is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about cocktail shrimp. As a child.
If you have a fried shrimp, you still take the tail off of it.
Only if you're told that you're supposed to.
Well, if you have a family member, like if you have that uncle that tricked you into eating the shrimp tail and worse, the whole shrimp head on, then you need to revoke his entrance to the family reunion because he's a terrible person.
I'm guessing you've never been to Pickens County. All right, the next thing that's trending is National Puppy Day.
Yes, it is National Puppy Day, which I love. It's one of the few wholesome days on Twitter where people are just sharing pictures of the doggos. And this is a very good opportunity to remind you of 2 things. Number 1, dogs are better than cats. #facts. And number 2, every dog is a good dog. Some just get screwed up by bad people. All right. Every dog's a good dog, but some get screwed up by bad people, and dogs are better than cats. I just need those 2 facts out there in the universe in perpetuity.
Agreed. One last real quick one. Yesterday was William Shatner's birthday. He's 90 years old.
Yes. And I believe it's also the day in, 2293 is the day that Captain James Tiberius Kirk would be born. Zoe, I will not be around for that day, but I wish I could get a glimpse into the future to see how many cool parents name their kids James Tiberius on that day. Your keyword for the upcoming hour is going to be bake, B-A-K-E. In the next hour, you're going to want to tweet that or text that number to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Text and data rates may apply. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. The keyword is bake, B-A-K-E. Text it to 72881. That's it for the show. Mark Ryan and Diesel up next for Offsides. Have a great day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later.